Hey everyone, welcome back to Immediate Movie Reactions. I'm here after seeing Wicked. I can't believe that after like 3 weeks off, the first movie that I'm able to see after recovering from pneumonia, sort of recovering from pneumonia, is Wicked. Why? Because I hate musicals. I hate musicals. I really, really do. But this movie is a spectacle. It's huge. I'm not going to go into what this is about. You should know that this is sort of a retelling or telling the story of how Glinda and Elphaba became enemies and the evil witch and the good witch and all that sort of thing. I'm gonna just go right into the film. And I will tell you right now that even though I hate musicals, I am also incapable of disliking a movie that has Michelle Yeoh in it. So, alert, I really enjoyed this movie. I'm going to go into the negatives first, the things that I did not like about it. Number one, I would say that if you don't like musicals, then this is not for you because there is singing almost from the jump. And one of the things that I hate is if you're doing something like giving someone a hat, just give them the hat. You don't have to fucking sing about it. But they do. They sing about everything. It isn't always a case of they're singing to forward the plot. This is kind of more of a modern musical style. Obviously, it's a modern musical. This is absolutely huge. So, that was kind of an issue for me. I think some of the songs were drawn out. I do not know the stage production, so I have no ties to that. There's no loyalty there. But I think some of the songs, when I thought that they were over, like singing Defying Gravity, and I'm like, oh, weird. I thought that there was like a big note that they were going to hit at the end. But they break it up with action and with talking and dialogue and all that sort of thing. Then they go back into the song. That was a little bit difficult for me to follow. I think that they did add quite a bit to it. I did not like Jeff Goldblum in this. I think that he is sort of a caricature of himself, like a Jack Nicholson or a Christopher Walken, where instead of playing the part, they're kind of playing themselves playing the part, if that makes any sense at all. I thought he was a little goofy and kind of took me out of it. I like the kind of bumbling, silly shyster of the wizard, the one that we saw in The Wizard of Oz, and I know that this is very, very far removed from that. But I will say that as cheesy as it might sound, I like my motifs. I like my cliches. I want Batman to be the good guy, and I want Joker to be the bad guy. I want Spider-Man. I don't want to, as the hero, I don't want to find out at the end of a six-book series that one of the greatest good guys of all time, Dumbledore, might not have been a good guy or as good as we thought he was. Like, I'm sorry, don't ruin that for us. So, as much as I like the idea of retelling or trying to tell the story from a different point of view, um, I want Glinda to be a good guy. I don't want Glinda to be Glinda. That was fucking stupid. And I want the evil witch to be the evil witch. In this, they really set her up to be the good guy. How is she going to turn it? And that's, I guess, my other issue is that this is a long movie. It's like forever long. And it still doesn't go into everything because there was a part two, and they should have been very clear at the beginning that this was going to be a part one and a part two. I don't know why. I didn't know why. I had kind of heard that going into it. But there's so much of the story that I would like to say was silly and didn't make sense, but it may be resolved in the second one. And maybe that was kind of an issue. And that's me not knowing the play and not knowing the musical and not knowing where this is all going from there. Um, that is maybe about the end of my criticisms. I guess there's one other one that I would have, and this was pointed out to me by a friend of mine, is that the movie is kind of washed out. If you watch the trailers and you look at the promos, everything is very vibrant and colorful. But then, at least in the screening that we saw, the colors were a much more muted, and I think we see that across. So this movie does star Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, and I hope I pronounced that right. And I think in the trailers, I know Kristen Chenoweth is like the icon. She's the one who created Glinda. She's the one who we are all forever and ever are going to look back as, the distinctive voice. So when we watch the trailers, Ariana Grande was doing a Kristen Chenoweth voice, and it fucking annoyed me. I didn't think I was going to be able to sit through 2.5 hours of that, but that is stripped down. It is really just Ariana Grande's voice in this. And I think, honestly, as good as she was, I think she's a little robot. I think if you tell her to go out there and sing pop or R&B and sound like Christina Aguilera, she does. And if you tell her to go out there and sing and sound like Sabrina Carpenter, she does. And if you want her to go out and sing a show tune, she's going to go out there and she's going to be absolutely fantastic at it. She was really good in this. She was a good mean girl. She was likable, but then she was also like you knew she was a little bit twisted. There were some things going on. Um, but all of it seems a little bit it all is fake. It's all like pageantry with her. As much as I admire her talent, I don't know. I just get a really weird feeling about her. But Arabu, absolutely. What can I say about her that hasn't already been said? Over the last couple of weeks, I've kind of fallen into a YouTube rabbit hole of watching her performances, and she is stunning, striking a voice that is absolutely amazing. She's beautiful, even in the green. And like, I guess that's another issue that I have with this movie is that in a world of talking animals and wizards and witches that can control magic, why is someone who is green an issue? Like, that's a really weird hang up. Maybe they're going to explain that in two, but I don't think so because I think at its core, and I know that this musical is very different from the book, I think at its core, it's kind of superficial. But does it work that way? Yeah, I think it does. As I said, I quite enjoyed this movie. And more than that, people love this movie. This movie was sold out. It is filling theaters around here. You know, we went to see it. My wife is a huge fan of musicals, especially this. It's like her favorite. And we were trying to get tickets, and she said, I can't believe this theater is this busy. Remember how many times we come? I haven't seen a movie busy like this since Barbie, because almost every other movie we go to see, it's empty, or there's three, four, maybe a dozen people is a lot. And this movie is just absolutely packing them in. It's going to make $1 billion. So me saying see it, stream it, or skip it, I don't think it really matters because there isn't anybody I think on the fence of seeing this movie. You know you're going to see it. You have seen it, or it's just not something within because it is clearly a musical. I think that the world is vibrant. John Chu does an excellent job. I think it's John Chu. I know it's Chu. Does an amazing job of pulling everything together. The two main actors, they are absolutely like the chemistry is there. They play very well off each other. I think that the development, even though I wanted maybe a little bit more of them being rivals, the movie was maybe a little bit too long as it was, so we didn't need too much more of that. But I wanted to see a little bit more of instead of just like we're enemies, oh, and now we're best friends. Like that's kind of where it flips, and it does flip. And it's a striking scene. I thought it was the most emotional, and here's where I'm getting a softie, right? I'm getting old because it's at this. They're in a club, and they've all the students have sneaked out of the university, and they're not supposed to be there. Even though Michelle Yeoh, who is Professor Morrible, I believe her name is. I thought they were saying Marble the whole time, but it's Morrible. She comes, but it doesn't really matter. Like none of that matters because it really is. It's just getting from song to song and set piece to set piece and whatever. But they do this routine. It's called whacking. It's a specific form of dance, and I found that that was captivating and moving, and I absolutely love that. And from then on, I really started to engage. I was starting to get a little bit bored, but I got drawn back in and I was engaged. I think that this movie, just from start to finish, looks absolutely fantastic. Other than, now seeing that kind of washed out, I do want to go see this again. Crazy. Um, I would not, could not with a mouse. I would not, could not in a house go see the sing along version of this movie because could shoot me in that. Like I couldn't do it. I would. Oh my god. But I do want to see this in an IMAX. If you get the opportunity, go see this on a big screen. Go see this in the theater. Go see it loud if you can. It is absolutely worth it. I enjoyed this movie. I really did, and I am not ashamed to say that this is a movie that I would highly recommend. See it, stream it, or skip it. This is definitely a movie that we need to see in the theater, and I think it's coming out at a time where you're going to be able to see it. It's going to come out again for awards season, and then it's going to come out again because I think part two comes out next November or something like that, November 2025. It'll come out again in September or October, and it's going to be an absolute money maker. And it was great leaving theaters. There were I mean, there was everybody. There was adults. There was men. Middle-aged men like me. There were moms. There were women. There were kids. There were just groups of everybody. There were little girls that were crying at the movie being over, or that Elphaba and Glinda are not friends anymore. It's just it's going to be a cultural sort of tent pole, and I think it deserves it. This is a 10 out of 10 movie. Oh, wow, 10 out of 10. It's a highly recommended movie. Anyway, thank you. I have gone way over my time. I do appreciate everybody for sticking around. And if you could please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you after the next movie. Have a great holiday.